Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 16e and compare it against the iPhone 14 Pro and see which particular phone is a better one for you. Now, here's the thing that I can definitely tell you about both these phones, is that there's not really one that's like the clear winner here. There's definitely pros and cons between both these phones, but if you're going to pick up one, it definitely makes a lot more sense to maybe pick up one that has more features, and we'll take a look at that throughout this whole entire video. First things first though, if you do want to pick up either one of these phones or some other ones I'd recommend buying this year, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these particular phones, the iPhone 14 Pro, which came out back in 2022, on the front side of this phone is giving you a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. Now, this type of phone with this type of display and layout, it's a very, very good looking phone for the most part. I do love being able to buy phones like this because this one still looks very good. This was basically the first iPhone to give you a, dynamic island, which was always a really nice thing to have. And when you're taking a look at this type of device, I mean, this is still a really good looking phone. It's giving you a 120 Hz display, which is amazing. It's also giving you really good build quality, and this is still a really nice looking phone. The display itself isn't the brightest, but it's basically the same thing or a little bit brighter than the 16e, but it's definitely still a really good looking phone when it comes down to it. With the iPhone 16e, this phone is giving you the same size display, so it is also a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. It's, like I said, the same size. It's still giving you the notch up top, but this panel definitely isn't as good as the iPhone 14 Pros. Number one, you're not getting a dynamic island, you're getting the notch. And having a dynamic island, although it's not the biggest deal in the world, it is still a really nice touch to have. But also with the iPhone 14 Pro, you're going to be getting that ProMotion display. This is without a doubt another really important thing to basically have within a phone as well. Being able to go through and get 120 Hz inside of your phone is one of the biggest takeaways and one of the nicest things to have inside of your device. So that is without a doubt one of the coolest things going on for this type of phone too. And if I'm going to go through and pick up a phone, that is without a doubt one of the most important things here. So I'm very happy that that type of phone is giving you a ProMotion display. On the bottom, the 16e is giving you a USB Type-C port. With the iPhone 14 Pro, it's giving you a Lightning port. This is probably one of the main advantages for the iPhone 14 Pro. So, the 16e. If you're getting an iPhone 16e, you're definitely going to be getting that, USB Type-C port, and that is in and of itself a really nice thing to basically have inside of that type of phone. So if I'm going to go through and pick up a device, well, I do like having a phone that on the iPhone 16e that's going to be giving me USB Type-C. Now, on top of that, if you're going to go through and pick up these phones too, the back sides are fairly similar, the feeling of them both, because they both have frosted glass backs, and they both feel very, very good when it comes down to it from that side. So that's really nice, but on the 14 Pro, once again, you are going to be getting a triple camera setup with a LiDAR sensor on that phone. With the iPhone 16e, it's only giving you a single camera setup. So this right there can also be kind of a downside for the iPhone, 16e, because you're going to be getting this like a limited type of camera layout there. And that is in and of itself going to be a very sad thing to basically buy. Like if you're going to go through and buy a phone, well, you'd probably want a phone that's going to be giving you a little bit of better capability when it comes down to it. And that's essentially kind of what's going on here if you're going to go through and buy these phones. Because definitely, without a doubt, if I'm feeling both in the hand, the 14 Pro is going to feel way more expensive and premium than something like an iPhone, 16e. So from that side as well, that kind of covers it up there. When it comes down to the price tag, the iPhone 16e costs $600 brand new right now. The 14 Pro, on the other hand, basically costs you about, probably less than $500 in the used market. So if you're trying to go and buy a phone in the used market to basically mess with, well, definitely something like an iPhone 14 Pro will probably end up giving you a better value per dollar because it is going to be a cheaper phone with a better outside. So kind of keep that in mind. In terms of the cameras, the iPhone 16e is going to be giving you this single camera setup, but it's a 2-in-1 type of camera. With the iPhone 14 Pro is going to be this triple camera setup. So I would imagine that if you're going to go through and pick up a phone, you would look at the iPhone 14 Pro and automatically think that that is the better device. And that is kind of, partially true. Right? If you're going to go through and pick up a phone, definitely a phone like an iPhone 14 Pro, with it giving you 4K at 60 on the front and the back on both these phones, but giving you that extra capability when it comes down to the camera, that is a really important and very nice thing to have. And if I'm going to go through and pick up a phone, this is without a doubt one of the most important things to keep in mind here with this type of camera. So I definitely do appreciate buying a phone like an iPhone 16e. It's still giving you visual intelligence. It's still giving you a lot of cool things here and there, but definitely I look at a phone like an iPhone 14 Pro and that is a really good type of camera for the most part. Like that thing is giving you 3x zoom where the 16E is giving you 2x zoom, and it's giving you 0.5x zoom too. That, without a doubt, is another really big advantage for that type of phone too. So that, in that sense, kind of covers it up there. Now, on top of that, when it kind of comes down to some other areas of these phones, when it comes down to the software longevity, this is also one of those important things to keep in mind here. If you're trying to get a phone that's going to be lasting the longer amount of time, it's probably going to end up being the iPhone 16e. The 16e is probably going to be one of those types of iPhones that might end up lasting a longer period of time. And that's just kind of what ends up happening when you're going to go through and pick up these types of phones. That is the main advantage of that type of device. So I think that's a really cool thing going on for the iPhone 16e. But the iPhone 14 Pro is still going to be supported with software for many, many years from now, right? Like the 14 Pro is still going to be here. You're not really going to feel like you're missing out on anything anytime soon. So I would probably tell you, even from that side, you're still going to be getting a phone on the iPhone 14 Pro that's still going to be here for many years to come, and you don't really have to worry about that either. So I will probably tell you from that side as well, there's not really that much to worry about. Battery life wise, the iPhone 16e is slated to have 26 hours of video playback, where the 14 Pro is said to have 23 hours of video playback. So that right there is going to be another really big advantage for that type of phone too, for the 16e, because not only are you getting USB-C, but you're also going to be able to go through and essentially get this type of phone that's going to be giving you, a really good battery life too. So that is another big advantage for that type of device when it comes down to it from that side as well. So when it kind of comes down to the performance, this is another big advantage for both of these phones. With the iPhone 16e, you're getting that Apple A18 chipset with 8 gigs of RAM. Where the 14 Pro is going to be giving you that Apple A16 chipset inside with essentially that, with 6 gigs of RAM. So I would imagine that if you're going to go through and pick up a phone to use on an everyday basis, both these phones are going to be giving you pretty good experience. But it just so happens that in my personal opinion, if you're going to go through and pick up some devices, definitely, once again, it would make a lot more sense to look at something like an iPhone, 16e as being a faster phone. That one is giving you more RAM, it's going to be giving you more capability, and that's the one that I would look at as probably being a more superior one in almost every single way when it comes down to it. So to kind of sum up this whole entire video, what I can definitely tell you is that I think an iPhone 16e, it's a really, really good iPhone. I think if you're going to go through and pick up a device, that one makes a lot of sense to go and pick up, right? But at the same side, I think an iPhone 14 Pro is the better one when it comes down to the more flagship features. Like if I'm trying to go through and pick up a phone that's going to be giving me more flagship features for the most part, I definitely would imagine that a phone like an iPhone 14 Pro, with it giving me a ProMotion display, better build quality, triple camera setup, dynamic island, those things are really nice things to have inside of a phone. And I think that's why I look at something like an iPhone 14 Pro as being a really, really good phone for the value. I think an iPhone 15 Pro would be a better phone to buy than both of these things. But I think a 14 Pro is still a very solid option too, and I think it makes a lot of sense to go and buy a device like that. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there for the most part. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.